This is Ollie. Ollie's a great little 1-year-old Corgi. And in this video, I'm going to go over some tips and tricks, some kennel training stuff for you. So basically, Ollie has a problem with the kennel because he has another Corgi, was it a Corgi? That basically they live in a very cozy quarters, and he was in his kennel. The other dog may have a food resource guarding problem, is eating. Now, sometimes dogs just growl when they're eating. If another dog gets too close, that's not considered resource guarding. I didn't see it, so I don't know. It could be, it could not be. But basically, the other dog started attacking the kennel while he was in here, and he was kennel trained, but now he has a problem with going into the kennel. So in this video, I'm going to show a bunch of tips that'll help your dog get over fear of being in the kennel. So the first thing we do, now I've already tested this a tiny little bit. He will go in the kennel, but there are times where he doesn't like going in the kennel. I found when it comes to the kennel, there's two problems with the kennel for dogs, the way they look at it. When they put me in here, first of all, I'm restrained. That's problem number one. Number two, the only time you put me in here is when you're about to abandon me and leave me. And I don't like being abandoned, so I'm just gonna protest and not like being in the kennel. So in this exercise later on, what I'm gonna show you is how to keep the dog to like being in the kennel on his own. If you put, the old way is you put the dog in the kennel and you walked away until he's calm. And the dog's barking and howling and doing all this stuff. Well, the dog is essentially practicing freaking out in the kennel. That's the behavior you're practicing. That's the behavior they're gonna continue. So I'm, as a dog psychologist, I'm all positive reinforcement. So I want to create a positive association. So the very first thing I do, let's have the two-way, there we go, is I show him I have a treat. And with the door closed, I drop these treats in the kennel. I want him to have motivation to want to go in the kennel. I should have asked the guardian this off camera. What is the word to go in the kennel?
Crate.
So I would suggest, because he has a negative association, where we change it to something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give some suggestions, but you can change it later on if you want to change it. I like using stuff that's funny. So I have a Dalmatian, so I called mine Station for fire station. I work with some people that call it palace, mansion, anything you want. Do you have any words? Some people call it like Jamaica.
Can we make it something British since he's a Corgi?
You can do any words you want. It could say blue or X, but I like something that's going to make people laugh. That's a funny word, like palace.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's do palace.
Okay, there we go. So now, anytime you give a dog a treat, they should hear the command word after the treat goes into their mouth. Okay. So now he clearly wants to go in the kennel. This is designed to help motivate the dog to want to go in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this in a second. Every time he licks up a treat, I'm going to say the P word that we just came up with. Palace, 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 palace. So he's able to go in there, got a good reinforcer, good positive things, and lingering. This is great. It tells me it's not a super bad fear. A lot of dogs, they won't even come in there. And if you're watching this and your dog, this is for other people, your dog won't come in there and they do this like lean, like they have their back leg and they lean in and grab it and run away. That's your dog way of saying it's uncomfortable. So the first stage is we leave the treats in with the door open or door closed until he paws at it, then we let him go in and get him. This is already the third step, but I'll reward their palace. That's out of context, Ollie, though. We got to come out here and let's get people up there one step at a time. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to show him I have the treat and roll it in there and say palace when he licks it up. And if you have a bunch of bedding, there's a little bone in there that I got kind of hit up on. Make sure you pull all that stuff out. Okay. All I want him to do is repeat going in the kennel, palace, good things happen, and he gets to leave with his own accord. And that's what you're looking for, is a dog to linger in there like that. Now, palace. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw a treat over there because I want to adjust this a little bit because I'm going to have to walk away from it. So, like I talked about earlier, the things the dog doesn't like about the kennel is I'm restrained, and the only time I'm in here was when my humans are leaving me. So the dog needs to practice being in here at times at your home. But we don't want them to practice freaking out like I talked about earlier. So what I do now is I'm going to throw the treat in, say palace. So I'm going to stand up so I can do this. And I want to make sure he goes in without any hesitation. He's not leaning. He's not racing out of there. He's in there. He's lingering like he was. So the next stage is I go like this. And now I come here and I'm blocking the exit to the kennel. If you take a couple steps over there, you want to make sure you can see him. What I'm waiting for him to do at this stage is to SIT. I'm not going to tell him to SIT because that is like asking somebody an apology. That's not really genuine. Come. So the instant that he sat down, that's his way of saying, I'm comfortable enough in here to put myself in a somewhat subordinate less authoritative position. As soon as he did that, I rewarded that. That's what I want. This is a form of operant conditioning. After that, we throw another one in. He gets to go in and get this without any blocking. Sat down. Already smart dog, Corgi. Okay, so I'm going to have him come out again. The next stage is what I'm going to try to achieve here. Now, I have big clown feet, so if you see I'm turning my feet this way. You don't want the dog to sneak out behind you. So what I'm waiting for at this point is for him to LAY. Now, usually that's what they do is they kind of circle in the back. Now, when he SITs, I'm going to take a step back and pause. There's enough room for him to negotiate coming out. That's why I'm staying close enough. So if he were to try to come out, I would rush forward as my way of saying no. He's calm and he's relaxed. So I take another step backwards. Now the door is open and he can come out, but when he tries to, I'd say no by doing that. He sat down, so I take a step backwards. This will feel like a waltz going back and forth. Now he does not know that he has to LAY. If you watch people who do videos like this, usually they've already practiced as a dog already knows what to do. I was just telling the guardian this off camera right before we started this. I don't know what he's going to do. I like to do it live. It might sometimes makes really long videos, but it's real world situation. So he doesn't know that LAYing is what gets him out. The way he figures that out is as soon as he LAYs, I back up like grease lightning and invite him out. After dogs learn through repetition, consistency, and good timing. So your timing's got to be precise. So after he starts LAYing and getting out, come. That was great. So sitting is a more subordinate position. Laying down is even more subordinate. So for him to be able to lay down in there tells me he's pretty comfortable. And again, just like before, after he does a successful one, he gets to go in and gets a free one, and then he gets to leave on his own. And you see it helps illustrate that it doesn't always mean we're doing it. We're always going to practice this exercise, but also he's lingering. This is a good experience for him. He doesn't have any negatives about it. Sit. I'll give you a treat for that. You don't have to give him a treat for that, but that's what we want. What we want the dog to essentially do is to practice being in here completely calm. That's why we take away the two things that he doesn't like, the door being closed and being abandoned. So as weird as this seems, you want your dog to practice being in the kennel when you're here in the room, and preferably with the door open. I teach a puppy class. I have a dog named Callie. I put her in the kennel and I leave the door open, and I teach the whole puppy class, and the door's open the whole time, and people are like, what's going on there? She's only allowed to come out when I give her the command word to exit. And so she is doing the work herself, and she's practicing being calm inside the kennel. And this is great because I didn't ask him to go in there. He went in there on his own accord. Now I'm going to go over a couple other little tips that you can use. I gave him a bully stick earlier. Bully sticks you never want to give your dog a rawhide. They're soaked in bleach, formaldehyde, and ammonia, and a lot of other nasty chemicals because dogs ingest them. Couldn't get much better than that. Palace. So a lot of times what I'll do is I use bully sticks instead, which are much healthier for dogs. And if you get the ones that are low odor or odor free, they're a little bit more expensive, but you won't smell it, so it's worth it. So what I do is I take a bully stick, and let's go and imagine this this phone is a bully stick. So I would drill a hole through the end of it, and then in the back of the kennel, I would zip tie it to the bottom part of the kennel on the inside of the kennel. So now the only way the dog can chew on the bully stick is by being inside the kennel. But the door is open, and we're not telling him to go in there. He's just going in there, and again, good things are happening. And this couldn't be any better. This usually takes a long time. I didn't expect that he would be laying down like this. But again, we communicated through our demonstration of actual reality that it was a good, positive thing. And he did all the work on his own. The only thing I did was block him from exiting a tiny little bit, but because we dropped the treats and then tossed the treats, it's like, I don't have a problem leaving this place. This is a great place to be. Good things are happening to me. So what we want to do is we want to continue practicing this. Now, I'm going to describe what I was doing before. So when you step back, when he lays down, the first couple times, as soon as he lays down, as fast as you can, you invite him out. After he starts going in and laying down like this and lingering like he is now, next time you do it, once he lays down, maybe wait 1 or 2 seconds and then take a step backwards and invite him out. Next time you wait maybe 5 seconds before you take a step backwards. Then 10, 15, then I usually go by 15, 30, 45, 60 seconds, then I go by 1 minute increments until I get up to, well, every dog is unique. I've had some dogs that have to go close to the 2 hours. Once you've achieved 2 hours, the dog should be fine beyond that. Some dogs, after you get to like 10, 15, or 5 minutes, they're fine and you're over it. Now, when we go back home, we want to make sure that the guardian, that the other dog doesn't have this problem, because this will undo some of the stuff, because it creates a negative. I went in here and the other dog attacked the kennel. It was very traumatizing to me. So I already talked to the guardian. For the other guardian who probably will be watching this video, there's a book called Mine, M-I-N-E, with an exclamation point. It is the definitive book on stopping dogs from having a resource guarding problem. And resource guarding is not considered aggression because once you remove the resource, the aggressive behavior disappears. It's natural for them to guard resources in the wild. If he had a chicken, another dog came by, he would have to guard his chicken because the other dog wants that needs it for survival. So they don't need to do it for us, and it's no indication of if your dog is aggressive or well-trained or well-behaved. It's just some dogs just develop it, and the book will describe how to do it. It's very easy. It's all positive reinforcement. If you do it the right way, he shouldn't have a problem. What you would do is follow the instruction in the book, but you would just have the another dog approaching you on a leash towards the other dog when it's eating. But you stop before the dog's reacting, and the book will go through it. This is a different video, so I'm not going to go on through that, but check out that book if you have a dog with resource guarding problems. Well, this couldn't really be turn out better. Every once in a while, also when he's away, leave a treat in there. So every time, dude, why wasn't I in here before? There's a treat that's just waiting for me. If he goes in there on his own and you have a treat, go over there and give him the treat and say Palace, or you just go over there and pet him and say Palace. If you're too far away or you don't want to get him out of the couch, he goes in there on his own, just say the word Palace. Anytime he gets a new toy, he should discover it in here. So every time he goes in here, good things happen. Now, the guardian had been told to feed him in here, and you can certainly do that, but Palace. For dogs, if it's really fearful, sometimes that creates some problems with feeding. And it's a good thing to do, but I don't think you need to feed him in here. I would just practice this technique. Try to do it a couple times a day, and so he has just practice being in here, and that way, Palace. Again, these are all wonderful illustrations that the dog is very comfortable. Well, this is Ollie, and these are some tips and tricks that you can use if you have a dog that's fearful or doesn't want to go into their kennel.